to talk.
On August 11th, Chris attended the 2017 BronyCon, a convention for fans of the animated series My Little Pony.
What ideal ad-lib would you like to contribute? And which ones have you done so far are your personal favorite? Not counting I like kites.
Is that a question for all of us?
Several bronies were aware of Chris-chan and documented her activities throughout the 3-day event. Chris could hardly contain her excitement as she mingled with like-minded individuals. She spent time with other bronies and Pegasisters, even participating in a poker tournament, though she allegedly got upset when other players misgendered her. A fan of Chris happened to walk by as she was meeting Cathy Weseluck, a voice actress from My Little Pony. They talked for a really long time. Sadly, I couldn't hear, but someone groaned and went Sonichu, and I was over the moon. I found the whole situation hilarious. Christine talked for a long time with Cathy, and then I saw them, the original books. She had a lot of bags, and inside them were the original copies of Sonichu. She was showing them to the voice actress. She must have had all of them because it was a huge stack. On the second night of the convention, Chris went to the Grand Galloping Gala, an annual dance party at BronyCon. Chris was captured on camera, wandering the crowd in search of someone to socialize with. As a slow number begins, Chris starts dancing with an invisible partner. On the way home, Chris tweeted letting her fans know that she had an enjoyable weekend. Offhand, she also mentioned that Magi-Chan was traveling with her. Years later, Chris explained more details about Magi-Chan's role at BronyCon. Why, even at BronyCon 2017, at the Grand Galloping Gala, Magi-Chan was my escort and bodyguard the whole weekend. Even though, to most, it appeared I was dancing a duet solo. I was literally dancing with Magi-Chan, my guardian angel. This was before I learned how much he loved me. On August 14th, Christine uploaded a lengthy YouTube video.
So last weekend, BronyCon, awesome, totally awesome. I had an awesome time. I met so many kind people. I found so much positivity and love. I made new friends and acquaintances in higher places. I've attended some panels and I learned a lot too. I have so many new lovely memories and ideas. I am so inspired. First off, Book 13, or as I'm going to call it, Book 12-9, which will round up to 13 because I don't like using 13. It's an unlucky number, at least to me. And yes, superstitious. And that happened. Oh well. Zoop. It's all right. We'll put the eye patch back on and fix it up. What is the next book gonna be after I'm finished with, and I'm having trouble with this clip here. The next book, right after number 12. A BronyCon tag. And lovable image. Lovely gift from some pony there. Had an awesome, it's just awesome, awesome. I'm so happy. Anyway, you know what? You've seen that, that's enough. That works. Book 12-9, we are expanding on another new character that I have added to my family recently. That she's gonna have her family and everything. Nightstar. Yes, it's a Sonichu special, inspired by My Little Pony. Considered fan fiction, but would love it if it could be canon, because Nightstar, overpowered as she may be, she still has her flaws like I do, and I feel would be at least an awesome one-episode addition. Love to be the voice actress. Me. I would just blow me away. Seriously, but I'm not accepting fake invitations. But yes, starting her from birth, giving her the same parents as I do. Mr. C is an easy cutie mark. Pencil compass over a blueprint. He designed the specs for the plastic molding machines. I'm still working on my mom's cutie mark though. But at least we know it's a good detail, I can guess. And to all the haters, not a freaking Snorlax. Pardon me? I am so smart. And yet I still learn everything. I still have so much to learn. I can appreciate that very much. My brain's a little slow right now. I have so many ideas and everything. So much good news, positivity. Blah, blah, blah.
Boop, boop. Don't follow me. Boop.
Up. There you go. I'm just talking while I'm trying to, in between announcements. Yeah, I have to recollect because I didn't write all these down in advance because they're in my noggin. They're fresh in my noggin. And yeah, my memory can be limited.
What do you think is the next announcement, Fluffy Puff? Really? Come on.
You know better than that. You know better than that. Main event knows better than that.
That's it. It's night. Boop, boop, boop. Boop.
No script. This is good.
There you go. I'm not looking at my smarty.
Oh, yes. I loved the latest episode of My Little Pony. This is another part I wanted to talk about. Fame and misfortune. And the song. Song was awesome. Just, we're not flawless. We have our debts and... I'm still trying to remember the repeating lyrics because it's so relatable. It's just so awesome. We have our dents, we've got our quirks, but the flaws are what makes us work. We're not flawless. I feel like, to me, the most relatable, best episode ever. Definitely the reactions, just like back in somewhere between 04 and 07, learning how internet famous I was. I was not used to it. It took me off by surprise. I had seen and then eventually was able to push forward, put behind me the trolls, cyberbullies, and haters, and all the criticism. Just drove me down to the feeling so sad and feeling depressed for its number of years. And of course, in the stress, I ended up being more naive. I fell victim to the blackmail and the deception. You have to ignore the bullies, you have to ignore the trolls. Easier said than done the first time around. I hear that. And like, bam, 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 bam. You gotta lock it in my noggin. And eventually, sunk in. Especially after I started putting the trolls behind me. And then my better revelation of fans, trolls, bullies. Everybody's still talking about me. It's awesome. So it's like unified in a sonic brain boom. But nope. Now anyway, in control. How we let this and that affect us, or
Not affect us. Go ahead and laugh. I put a pie in my face.
oh wait,
How it doesn't affect us. Go ahead and laugh.
and go ahead and laugh at that. My dogs are barking at something that's outside, possibly, likely, nothing. I have to put up with it. It's my family, and here comes my mother with a thought that she's interrupting this live streaming video, so she's gonna have to wait a moment. Anyway, aside from all that and falling fluffle,
Boop. Boop, boop, boop.
I have emotionally and mentally, heartfelt, soul-felt, matured and grown. I'm thankful and blessed to have been able to show that over the past weekend to a whole lot of people. Touch me. I get to touch them and make them smile. We made each other smile. It was a great thing. Have a great, safe, blessed day, and stay well. Stay good. Stay heartfelt positive.
Shortly after being blocked by Doopy Do-Over on Twitter, Chris created an anonymous sock puppet account called Nightstar2891. She utilized this account to defend herself against criticism and to circumvent blocks on her main account. Trolls quickly realized that the username included Chris's birth year written backwards. A troll known as Marvin, or the man in the pickle suit, DM'd Nightstar accusing them of being Chris in disguise. She refuted the accusation and fabricated an elaborate backstory, claiming to be a full-time employee of McDonald's with a degree in psychological arts. She suggested that any similarities in writing style to Christine were merely due to both being well-read and highly educated individuals. But on August 15th, as many had suspected, Chris confirmed that she was behind the Nightstar account. Confession time. Originally intended for laying low, and to keep a distant bond, still, on a few hurt individuals I like and cared about, after that one tweet wonder mess. This Twitter account, @Nightstar2891, is me, Christine Chandler. Again, that mentioned tweet was truly with my heart in the right place, to share appreciation for and of the women I've been able to make contact and acquaintance with. Then, some other people took wrongful attack upon them at my expense. I felt terrible about that. 2 of them blocked me, but Hater informed in that. I pray they will unblock and open up to me again soon. Though BronyCon brought immense relief to Christine, the trip set her back financially, likely costing upwards of $2,000. As a result, she informed her Patreon supporters that she would be unable to fulfill shipments for a few weeks and asked for patience. On August 20th, Chris went to church wearing her unicorn outfit, causing a disturbance among the other churchgoers. She reached out to My Little Pony voice actress Cathy Weseluck, seeking advice on how to handle the situation. I've had a day that started out happy and delightful. I felt like donning my pony ears and unicorn horn and tail to my church today. I've made a lot of people smile, and it was as normal as could be, with my sharing the joys from BronyCon 2017. Then later, during a Bible verse reading, my church friend suddenly burst out in tears. I felt along with her, the hate bout in Charlottesville, VA last weekend. Then, my pastoral counsellor, who was part of the choir this week, hands me a note. Please remove your headgear, it's reminding us of Nazis. Specifically, the not Nazi jesters who mocked the haters. I felt utter shock. I removed my headgear and I tensed up, fanning myself with the program as I was feeling hot. I ended up closing myself and breaking out in tears myself, being forced to remove what made me and most other people smile. Feeling like not being able to calm a post-bouted crowd. The empathy for my friend and not being able to make her smile just about killed my mood. I sat there, fanning myself with my right, gripping the bench with my left, and paralyzed. I stayed a while longer. Then I left during the collection with some plates. I took a rest and some Valium after I got back home. I feel some recovered, but I feel some mild headache now. Have you all ever heard such a thing? Pony ears and unicorn horn being reminiscent of an anti-Nazi jester? I never, and I meant no harm. What are your thoughts, Cathy? It's unknown if Cathy ever responded. On August 25th, illustrator and friend of Doopy Do-Over, LadyOfTheCosmo, tweeted out a goodnight message to her followers. Christine replied with, "Rest comfy and easy, dear." The lady took offense to being addressed as dear and accosted Chris for her continued use of pet names. Chris apologized, clarifying that she meant the term neutrally. LadyOfTheCosmo shared the dictionary definitions of dear and darling, disputing the neutrality of such terms. Chris asked why she sided with the haters, insisting that she meant to be respectful, that she was a sincere and kind person, and that she had lots of music and love in her heart and soul. After being addressed as Christopher Arsehat, Chris attempted to retreat. "I grow tired and weary from this dispute that you will not accept. Open your heart and just move forward and on, dear darling." The lady wasn't finished, however, and told Chris that everyone was tired of her inappropriate behavior towards women. Chris asked for understanding and did not enjoy hurtful words being used against her. The lady responded, calling Christine a harasser and an old man that wanted to get into women's business. Chris conceded that she was old, but also declared herself a repository of wisdom, similar to celebrities such as Betty White, Seth MacFarlane, and Cathy Weseluck. After the lady told Chris that her life was completely wasted, Chris signed off, hoping that Lady of the Cosmos had a nightmare. Following their argument, the lady blocked Chris on Twitter. Chris used her Nightstar account to comfort herself, even though she had already revealed that she was behind the account. The lady noticed Chris defending herself with a sock puppet account and labelled her a psycho. Chris retaliated by blocking the lady. Chris's Twitter account was also blocked by My Little Pony voice actor Jesse Nowak, also known as Nowacking. On Patreon, Chris announced further delays in production of her Sonichu comics, caused by the stress of being blocked on Twitter by many of her idols. On August 28th, Chris found herself yearning for happier days. "I wish every day was like #BronyCon, with lots of people, full of sincere kindness and compassion, approaching us all, instead of the freaking trolls and bullies being left unblocked, while the kind heroes become blocked." On what would have been Bob's 90th birthday, Christine read 2 letters written by her father.
This date marks my late father's, Robert Franklin Chandler Jr., his 90th birthday. Miss him every day. In honor of his birthday, I'm going to be reading out his letter that he made out to me by my born name. Anyway, so he writes on this, August 18th, 2008. Dear Christian, at this time in life, you and Sonichu need a quest and purpose in life. As if Sonichu didn't have a purpose already that I'd given him, and everybody else and everything. This is what he wanted, my father. Let Sonichu become a champion for autistic persons everywhere and continually defeat the perils of autism. Oh, good grief. Sonichu could become the spokesperson for autistic persons with an ongoing fight for them in chapter after chapter or good deeds on the internet. He could become the spokesperson from now on. You and Sonichu could become famous worldwide. Then he drew this little mini poster on the back. It's like, look at this. Isn't that funny? Is that me? Is that me? Sonichu, defender, champion, and educator of autistic persons everywhere. Knocking out the big A. It's funny. Yeah, he was a smart man, my father. Not everything as it would be. I mean, Sonichu does not have autism. None of my electric hedgehog Pokemon have autism. And if any pops up in Quickville, I'll definitely be sure to make note of that. That's a whole different Caticorn. I mean, the only autistic Pokemon I've made was the grass psychic type Autistic. Anyway, so in memory of my father on his 90th birthday, read that for him. Read that for y'all. So anyway, happy birthday, Mr. Chandler, wherever you are. And now, by special request, I still don't know all the lyrics, but I'll sing the choral verse. We're not flawless, we're work in progress. We've got dents and we've got quirks, but it's our flaws that make us work. Yeah, we're not flawless.
On September 7th, Chris wrote another Facebook post about her loneliness and her need for a sweetheart. One of her longtime Facebook friends, Jessica Quinn, wrote a short reply. We need to talk. The next day, Chris made an announcement on YouTube.
It finally happened. I'm Christine Weston Chandler, and I am in a true, loving relationship with my sweetheart. My Miss Jessie. My little Miss Jessie. And I'm her little Miss Christine. It's real true, real good. She and I have been talking to each other for more than a couple of years. Well, I'm her champion. I'm gonna defend her from y'all trolls and bullies. I'm not gonna let anybody harass or bother my sweetheart. If y'all have any questions about our relationship, you direct them to me. Jessica, I love you with all my heart, and I am yours forever on, as long as you have me. I'll do my best for you, if not better. Excuse me.
On September 9th, Christine posted a drawing of Jessica Quinn on Facebook, proclaiming that she was in fact Chris's destined sweetheart, known as Lovely Weather in her recent Sonichu comics. 2 days into her new relationship, Chris tagged My Little Pony voice actress Andrea Libman on Twitter, complimenting her performance in a recent episode. Jessica Quinn was jealous of Chris's attention towards other women. I'm not upset. Just remember, you're mine. In August, Chris began watching YouTube videos that she believed would help her communicate with the dead, predict the future, and levitate, among other magical abilities. On September 11th, she sent an email to disgraced psychic Yuri Geller, asking for advice on how to improve her powers. Hello Yuri, guessing you might predict my email to you. Anyhow, I am Miss Christine Chandler in Ruckersville, Virginia, USA. I just read your name in the psychokinesis chapter of my copy of Develop Your Psychic Skills. I have been working on my own psychic skills. I have found I do have some, and I practice most daily. I am so close to making the trading card I've been practicing with, or even my pen levitate. If I can, I would like to seek a more expert psychic skill training. I'm a still getting out there artist and creator. Anyhow, should you help me get further on with my skills or guide me well, I would be most grateful. Yuri emailed back, declining Chris's request for private lessons and pointing to his website as a possible resource. He went on, quite frankly, I believe you're wasting your time. There are more productive things in life than levitating a pen. Put your energy into those. Being a motivator, a positive thinker, helping others, a bit of meditation, some spirituality, empowering others, etc., etc., etc. Much energy and love. Christine responded the following day. I am not wasting my time. I have my psychic friend, Magi-Chan Sonichu, and my own dimensional psychic links to my CWCville and beyond. I have had a lot of deja vu moments in my life. I am not just looking for mere levitation, but I intend to do a lot more good with my psychic powers to bring peace and take down up to all of the internet haters and bullies. I need to do all these in my own control. And I did also ask for recommendations of anyone else who could help me better develop my powers. Your frank response left me feeling disappointed and disgusted with you right now, until a later time when I recover from this feeling, because I have a lot of other stresses in my life. On September 17th, Chris posted a drawing of herself as Nightstar and Jessica as a new pony character named Diamond Melody. Chris encouraged others to create fan art of the two characters in lovingly drawn art styles. Jessica made it known on Facebook that she and Chris were planning their first date for October 6th. A few days later, Chris tweeted advice for breast growth, which involved consuming excessive calories in the form of prunes and soy sauce. Some of her followers were concerned with Chris's unhealthy eating habits. Jessica Quinn responded to the post, stating that she was looking forward to the results of her weight gain. Jessica followed numerous fat fetish Facebook groups, and many wondered if she was encouraging Chris to become obese for her own sexual purposes. In late September, Chris shared screenshots of tweets she had liked from Jessie Nowak and Doopy Doover, two individuals that had blocked Chris. After further investigation, trolls uncovered a second sock puppet account called Twice Balicious. On September 26th, Jessica Quinn broke up with Chris, likely due to her continued fixation with female artists and celebrities. Jessica posted a vague message to Facebook about her inability to trust anyone. Chris replied, "Why did I lie? To protect from a truth. Why did I sneak? To hide from the bullies. Not worth it when your hearts are on the line." Jessica responded with an angry selfie, adding, "You lied because you thought you could get away with it. You can't blame bullies or anyone else but yourself for this. I trusted you." Chris changed her relationship status to "It's Complicated," while Jessica changed hers to "Single." Chris uploaded a short apology video to Facebook.
"Jessica, I'm so sorry. I don't want to lose you."
5 hours later, after a private conversation, the two decided to get back together. Twice Balicious unfollowed Jessie Nowak and Doopy Doover. Jessica approved, telling Chris that she made the right choice. On October 4th, Chris created an account on the Kiwifarms to announce a weekly Q&A where she would answer questions from users on the forum. The following day, Chris discovered that Jessica Quinn's Facebook profile had been deactivated. She frantically uploaded a video, pleading for Jessica to contact her.
"Sweetie, love, I just noticed your Facebook account is being deactivated. What the hell is going on? I'm worried. What the hell? If there's something going on, I need you to tell me right away, please. You can reach me at my phone number. Text me. What's going on, sweetie? What the hell?"
Jessica briefly reactivated her Facebook account to explain the situation in a private message. Apparently, trolls had hacked into her Facebook. Jessica blamed Chris, believing that the hack was a direct response to the Kiwifarms Q&A. Chris relayed a message from a disappointed Barbara. "Things can be fixed, but broken hearts suffer. Please, give Christine another chance." Chris furiously lashed out at the trolls in her second and final post on the Kiwifarms. "Thanks a lot, you goddamn bunch of bastardous children. Her life is ruined, and it was my fault for trying to make peace with you lot. I really wish I never created this account and tried to reach out. Good fucking bye." Later that day, Chris posted a video to YouTube.
What the fuck? You hacked into her account! You hacked into her Facebook, you goddamn miserable, worthless cretins! Just destroyed the relationship! You... All I wanted now was my peace of mind and happiness. I thought y'all wanted that from me too. Now, obviously, I was so fucking wrong. You really blew it this time. This is not funny if you're laughing. This is not funny. You all are just ultimately, really, crazily, You are so super fucked up cursed! Goodbye!
On October 6th, the day that Chris and Jessica were supposed to have their first date, Chris shared a photograph of the ice cream she was eating. Chris also posted a picture of her bloated stomach and a screenshot from Sonichu number 9 that Jessica found arousing. On October 17th, Chris realised her private messages to Jessica Quinn hadn't leaked online, which she felt was proof that Jessica wasn't a troll. Chris made one last mention of his lost sweetheart. This will be the very last time I bring her up, unless she actually comes back into my life. In person and face to face. She knows where and how to find and contact me. Until such the time, I am moving on. The telephone is back on the hook.
Hello everyone on the internet, this is Christine Chandler coming to you live from home once again. Right outside, waiting for the solar eclipse. I look up at it, at the sun through my special glasses I got with the little guidebook. It looks like a crescent. It's a crescent sun. Like it's grinning down on us. And as you can see from the noise making, that's my dear boy, Chorpe. He's alive and well. We are approaching so much closer to the eclipse over here. Live above our heads. It is smiling down upon us, the sun. I'd say just like in all Equestria, Celestian, smiling down while Luna's covering her. Anyway. And right now I can look and feel around. There's a definitely darker sense approaching. As a temporary night is gonna fall upon us any minute now. Ooh, the chills.
On October 7th, Chris posted to Facebook in memory of her original medallion, which was destroyed by the trolls behind the Blanc Magi-Chan persona. I saw the video where the one medallion was dipped in pickle brine, defecated upon, cut up into pieces and burned. The first 4 years of memories, soulful energy, all welled into that one precious medallion, lost throughout the reaches of time, space, and dimensions abroad. If I could, I would go back in time, tell myself to make a fake medallion and send that instead. Also, to not fall for the one called Blue Spike. Had I never shipped the medallion, and without the PSN hacker saw the second medallion up my own person, we might still have that one medallion, filled with every last ounce of wisdom and memories, all the way from 2004, and, possibly, with the real magic in it. I remain with the third Sonichu medallion, crafted around 2009 or 10, and updated it with my Chris Chan Sonichite. It is fine and well, but it is not the very first medallion lost in the ages. This one I wear is missing 5 to 6 years of my own trials, tribulations, and everything, even from some of my earlier Sweetheart Search days. After breaking up with Jessica Quinn, Chris hastened the production of Sonichu 12, completing it on October 29th. Episode 25, titled To Be or Not a Tomgirl, begins with Robbie, who questions his male identity because unlike other boys, he dislikes destruction and violent media. His older sister Sarah explains how the majority of the male population is sluggish, dumb, cruel, and heartless, and that Robbie is one of the few good ones. Later, Magi-Chan reveals to Robbie that he has a female soul. Robbie researches the topic of gender identity and writes a report on the subject, which gets an A+ in his class. Robbie is inspired by CWCville's mayor, Christine Chandler, to begin her transition to 100% female. She evolves into her final form, Roberta, and ejaculates. Magi-Chan gives her a binaural beat CD from the future to aid in her transition without the need for surgery. Over the next 6 weeks, Roberta grows double D breasts, gains fully functioning female reproductive organs, and the acceptance of her parents. Roberta spends time with her classmate, Vulva Pie, a character created by the troll Jacqueline Romy back in 2011. Though Chris knew Jackie was a troll by this point, he felt that once a character was established in his comic book universe, removing it would be equivalent to cold-hearted murder. The episode ends with Roberta proudly stating that she is a level 22 plus transgender Pokemon, loves her family and friends, and most importantly, herself. In episode 26, the city of Quickville is celebrating its first annual SLGBTQ Pride Festival. A character inspired by the YouTuber D-Stex, who donated $1,000 to Christine nearly 2 years prior, briefly makes an appearance. Christine is having a picnic in the park with her twin sister Crystal, among other characters. It's revealed that Christine has 2 autism-free children, which she conceived by inserting her own semen into her uterus while in Sonichu form. Her son and daughter, Russell and Cynthia, are mostly cared for by a Hispanic nanny named Heather Iglesias, while Christine focuses on her mayoral duties. The picnic is interrupted by Nate Zirk, who confronts Christine with her history of problematic behaviour. He accuses her of homophobia on account of her attempts to turn him straight, obesity and laziness due to her unwillingness to find a job, cowardice in her love quest by hiding behind attraction signs instead of approaching women. Nate Zirk calls Chris pitiful, creepy, twisted, pathetic, broken and naive. After a deep breath and a sigh, Christine brushes off the criticism by saying that she's changed and that she's no longer prone to deception. She apologizes for using the gay vaccine on Nate Zirk without his consent. He accepts her apology, becoming neutral towards Chris. As Nate Zirk leaves to eat a relish dog with mayonnaise, he is transported to another dimension by Count Graduon, who promises to return his hatred and powers if Nate Zirk agrees to serve him. Magi-Chan alerts the others. Christine and Crystal transform into their Sonichu forms. Shortly after, Nate Zirk appears leading an army of Jerkops. Christine opens a portal using a subspace cube. Nate Zirk attacks Chris, and they are both pulled into the dimension of suspended space. After the battle in the park concludes, Christine steps out of the void, carrying Nate Zirk in her arms. As she begins to address the crowd, Nate Zirk disappears. In the bonus pages of the episode, Chris shares the full story of her transition, revealing that her father came to accept her feminine ways shortly before passing. She also reveals that through soul-searching and deep thought, Chris came to the realization that she was a reincarnation of a lesbian woman that attended the Woodstock Music Festival. The comic concludes with episode 24, part 2. Rosechew falls down a flight of stairs and ends up in the hospital with broken legs. During her stay, she gorges herself on food, gaining a considerable amount of weight. At first, Sonichu is uncomfortable with his wife's obesity, but after touching her belly, he enjoys its soft, plump, and squishy nature. Sonichu has a dream in which Count Graduon captures Rosechew and Christine, and to save them, he must complete 3 challenges. For the first challenge, he swims down a river of pickle brine, which causes him to become obese. He then has to crawl through a narrow tunnel, and the slime within makes him lose the weight he gained. In the final challenge, he must choose to save either Rosechew or Christine from a room filled with fire. After much consideration, he chooses his wife, but thankfully, Rosechew manages to punch a hole through the wall where Christine was being held, and all 3 safely escape. Christine and Rosechew merge together, creating an overweight Rosechew that collapses on Sonichu, suffocating him. Sonichu wakes up and explains his dream to Rosechew. She confesses that although she enjoys eating, she prefers an active lifestyle. On October 25th, a man named John Yamada contacted Chris, claiming to be a soldier from Gamindustri, the fictional setting of the anime Hyperdimension Neptunia. John texted Chris, asking if she still owned her Sega Dreamcast. According to Yamada, the game console was actually a portal to the city of Quickville. Chris, who already had a loose grip on reality, latched onto the concept immediately. John Yamada was searching for magical artifacts in the haunted forests of Chernobyl, joined by other characters from Hyperdimension Neptunia. As proof of his legitimacy, John sent Chris an audio clip where his group is ambushed by Archon, a character from the movie Hardcore Henry.
Huh? I thought you fell asleep. I wanted to see you. Well, here. Huh?
Conduct!
Who said that?
Стоять! Вставай!
I'm IF, a gust of beautiful wind that blows through...
Враг побежден! Ау! Кто-нибудь... Fuck. You're fine.
Да, лежи здесь и разлагайся, ты кусок дерьма.
In actuality, the audio file was an amalgamation of various recordings and sound effects. John Yamada was merely a character created by a mysterious troll, later known as the Idea Guy. After hearing the audio clip, Chris was convinced beyond a doubt that the goddess characters from the world of Gamindustri, also known as console patron units or CPUs, were real and could travel freely between dimensions. Throughout the next few weeks, the Idea Guy took up many different personas, using text messages and doctored audio files to test the limits of Chris's gullibility. One recording even included audio taken from a past interview with Chris, edited to seem as though it was the fictional Christine, mayor of Quickville. On October 31st, Chris posted an update to her Patreon, explaining that due to mental quandaries, she was taking some personal time, and that there would be a delay in new Sonichu pages. A few days later, she shared 2 drawings and offered a short explanation of what was happening behind the scenes. There recently have been troubles from the foes of Gamindustri, and some of them have invaded my city of Quickville. They hit us big, with Graduon and his crew last Saturday afternoon. I have had to personally astral project and share my power with Christine there. Plus, Uzume was with us in Seoul, and among which, but I've sent my Autobots an army of quick defense to help Blanc when a bunch of bad soldiers tried to take over Loey. I will tell more with more visuals in 2 days on here, but it is crucial that everyone in this reality and world put their love and shares to Neptune, Blanc, Noir and Vert, so we can take out our mutual enemies and prevent our realities and dimensions from clashing, or even much worse. We all thank you for your support. The next day, Christine wrote a lengthy post on Facebook to explain her recent actions. It started a couple of weeks ago when I got word of a certain gaming console I still have which may hold a very special power. Magi-Chan teleported over here and psychically scanned my Dreamcast. I was standing right behind him, with open mind to see what he saw. We both saw something powerful remain dormant inside the console, so I took initiative to give it a charge by leaving it powered on at its home menu for more than 24 hours. Friday the 28th, I was curious what it was that Magi-Chan found, so I placed my right hand on the powered on console, opened my mind and third eye. And then a most powerful surge came into me, and after it was over, I had a new friend inside of me, a 1 CPU, Miss Uzume Tanobushi. She had been dormant inside my Dreamcast, and I pulled her out. We've been sharing my body since. Yes, she is able to control my body when she has control, and speak through my lips in her voice. My new contact here in this reality, who is from Neptunia, and I have been back and forth with the recent events, including when adult Neptune came here to look for him, but was lost. I had to send Sylvana to locate and rescue her. There were cloakers, and Sylvana teleported herself and a Neptune to multiple locations, including DC, to throw the cloakers off of their trail. Sylvana teleported her back to Quickville, and then back to Neptunia, with Magi-Chan. With communication to me as well, she thanked me personally. We were fighting a common foe, Uzume's twin, Kurame. Big trouble. I've had to fight to get her out of my head, but I realized later I was already immune to her possession by having Uzume inside me. And, as I had mentioned, Kurame swayed Graduon to take on my city of Quickville, but fortunately we predicted the attack the day before, so we all were ready to defend the city. Mecha and regular Jerkops and monsters alike ravaged the streets and skies. My Sonichus and Rosechus were more than a match for them all, as well as our armed forces, Autobots, and so forth among our strongest of citizens. I've had to personally share my power from home with the Christine Chandler of Quickville, and between she, Uzume, and I, we opened a portal to push Kurame back into the Zero Dimension for the time being. All this can be resolved by what I have asked you all to do recently. Give some love and shares to Neptune, Blanc, Noir, and Vert of Gamindustri, so they can be at their most powerful to take out these otherworldly threats that threaten even our own home reality that is this earth we all live on. And suffice to say, from personal experiences from the past 2 weeks, it is all real. On November 14th, Christine announced on Facebook that Sylvana Rosechew had been captured by Archon. but that she and John Yamada had a plan to rescue her, called Operation BARBarossa. She once again asked for positive energy from her followers. Chris also uploaded a freestyle dance routine, which would apparently aid in Operation BARBarossa.
For our world, for Gamindustri, for all the other worlds and dimensions!
Through her contact, John Yamada, Chris learned that Operation BARBarossa was a success. Sylvana Rosechew has been rescued. There was a battle of the war with our new common enemy that lasted the past couple of days. We lost a few good soldiers in the process. May they rest in peace, that their efforts were not in vain. Also, after Sylvana got captured, until the mutual foe is down for good at least, Count Graduon and Quickville's Christine Weston Chandler signed a peace treaty, as Graduon offered his troops and services for the effort. Then, Christine initiated a very smart operation. Fine old solution. There were cloakers and similar bad people of interest in Quickville, not counting Graduon and his crew. They rounded the cloakers and baddies up in a large plot of land Graduon donated. A prison camp, with great facilities for reforming the bad pawns to good people. Graduon donated a lot of land to build prison camps full of large ovens to keep the people warm, and even top-notch dentistry with well-trained doctors also running the clinic. The camps also had some of the best showers a prisoner can ask for, shower stalls with privacy walls. We all in Charlottesville, Ruckersville, all places to the north of us, and the people of Quickville can sleep more safely now. Your shares to the Gamindustri goddesses really helped us in this battle. Thank you, everyone, for your love, kindness, and most generous support. Please continue to offer your shares to them for any and all other future conflicts here on our world and in all other worlds, realities, and dimensions. 2 days later, Chris shared more updates about Quickville on Twitter, naming each of the newly established prison camps. These included Camp X-Ray and Camp Delta, 2 detainment camps in Guantanamo Bay, Black Dolphin, one of Russia's toughest prisons, Jonestown, the site of the Jonestown Massacre, and Coney Island, named after the infamous Ugandan warlord, Joseph Kony. On the 20th, Chris uploaded a drawing of Chris Chan Sonichu and Sailor Mercury having a conversation, with both English and Japanese translations. However, the Japanese text did not match the English. For instance, where Chris signed her name, the text read, "I am carrying a penis." Near the bottom of the page, Chris unknowingly wrote, "You look like the kind of person who fucks a guy in the ass and doesn't have the courtesy to ejaculate inside him." By the end of November, the idea guy had manipulated the Sonichu canon greatly for his own amusement. Chris now believed that Russia had won the Cold War in the Sonichu dimension, and Vladimir Putin was president of the United States. The actor Brendan Fraser was the newest mayor of Quickville, and Sailor Megtune was a CPU goddess known as Red Heart. In early December, the idea guy used edited photos to convince Chris that Nazis had invaded Quickville and that her younger, male, comic book counterpart had been kidnapped and sent to the past, where he became a Satanist, abolished women's rights, and helped Germany win World War II. Christine drew herself killing the satanic Nazi Chris by kicking him in the testicles. Under the influence of the idea guy, Chris moved Sonichu's birthday to April 20th, the birthday of Adolf. Rosechew went through her own alterations. Okay, who's ready to have their minds totally, royally up? Rosie, our prime Rosechew, sweetheart of Sonichu, was born as a Pichu, male. The trolls were correct. Up until around the 4-cent garbage adventure, Rosie did have, not a vagina, but a penis. She had the operation to become fully woman and give birth to Christine, Roberta, and Sarah. I felt super mortified and beyond shocked when she came out to me as a trans woman herself. Since when I created her after Sonichu, around 2000, I had created her to be a female-only Pokemon, like a Kangaskhan. But apparently, even though I am creator, apparently I'm not a total goddess over my own city and creations. So, I will now put this to everyone online for their responses. Do you like it that for once the trolls were right? Or would you rather I revert to telling everyone in Book 15 that our Miss Rosie Rosechew was always female? Chris was hesitant to accept Rosechew's gender identity, So she created a Twitter poll asking whether her fans preferred the true trans-sex Rosechew or the original version, where Rosechew was born female. Chris explained that the first option would cause her distress, as it would be an admission that the trolls were right, but the second option would hurt Rosechew. When the voting concluded, Chris officially declared that Rosechew was a male to female transgender Pokemon. On December 11th, Christine uploaded a video to YouTube under the direction of the Idea Guy, in which she believed she was reciting an ancient Cherokee chant. In actuality, she was speaking Russian phrases from the video game Stalker. Chris wore a tracksuit and held a bottle of vodka, emulating a stereotypical Russian gopnik.
I know cheeky breaky! 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 Divide! Divide! I know cheeky breaky! I know cheeky breaky! I know cheeky breaky! Divide! Divide! Divide!
On December 14th, Chris made another lengthy Facebook post, announcing that Sylvana Rosechew was lost in the past. She asked her followers to believe in Sylvana, hoping that the positive energy would bring her home. The Idea Guy roleplayed as Magi-Chan, manipulating Chris into believing that her prophesized daughter, Crystal, was conceived through sex with Sonichu, and that if Chris illustrated the act, she wouldn't have to have sex with Sonichu in real life. By December 16th, Chris believed that DJ Jamster had Punchy. He was put on trial, but the satanic Nazi version of Christian acquitted DJ Jamster, despite Magi-Chan's overwhelming evidence. The miscarriage of justice caused riots in the streets of Quickville. A few days later, Chris announced a new task force, the Quick Stapo, that would help clean up the city of Quickville. On December 18th, the Idea Guy convinced Chris that the CPU goddess Neptune was waiting for her in a local GameStop. Chris drove to the parking lot, honked her horn and shouted Neptune's name. As she was still banned from entering the store, she went up to the window and thoroughly scanned the interior. When nobody presented themselves, Chris returned home. Around this time, Chris renounced Christianity and began worshipping the goddesses from hyperdimension Neptunia because she found the CPU's advice to be more insightful and inspiring. Chris also enjoyed being part of a family, which she felt the CPUs provided, while Jesus did not. Chris stopped going to church, losing contact with her longtime pastoral counselor Rocky Shoemaker. Rocky would eventually retire in the summer of 2018. In late 2017, Chris took a liking to the most youthful-looking CPU goddess, Blanc. Their relationship was often argumentative, with Blanc calling Chris out on her laziness and hypocrisy. At one point, Chris sent a description of how she would make love to the childlike anime character. Firstly, we get to the bedroom. Communication is key, and I would listen. We get undressed, I would make out with you, make my way downwards, and I would put my 2 middle fingers onto your clit for starters. Then, I would progress into your vulva with my fingers, and rub the front inside of your vagina. And, with your request, I would lick it on the clit, the edges, and even put my tongue into your vag. On January 5th, 2018, Chris announced that Magi-Chan had married his mentor, the legendary Pokemon Mewtwo. She added that, if Sylvana was there, the three of them would have made a lovely harem. On January 10th, Chris entered a Steam chat with 2 characters from Hyperdimension Neptunia, Noir and Blanc, and a high-ranking commander of the Nazi Waffen SS, Hermann Fegelein. During this chat, Fegelein threatens a Nazi invasion of Equestria, the universe of My Little Pony. Christine, Noir and Blanc attempt to broker a peace agreement. The conversation ends with Fegelein telling Chris to surrender both Quickville and Equestria. A few days later, Chris was convinced that the Nazis had bugged her beloved Christine doll, which she created in 2016.
Frickin' Nazis. I am not afraid of any of you. And you do anything else in Quickville, I'm gonna send you all down the river. You may as well send yourselves down the river before I send you all down the river. And you all will not be in Quickville for much longer. See to it personally. Oh, I really glued this thing good. Anyway. So there.
2 days later, the Nazis began their invasion of Equestria. As an intimidation tactic, Chris filmed herself dismantling her fake Christmas tree.
Wait, look at that now, you freaking Nazis! Heed my warning! You get out of Equestria, you freaking Nazis! My brothers, sisters, and I, of Antifa, we will assure you freaking Nazis get the hell out of Equestria now!
The idea guy convinced Chris that her father was born half Sonichu. Thus, Christine was also part Sonichu. Chris believed that her father was alive and well, living in the city of CWCville as a hedgehog named Robert Chu. The idea guide also influenced the creation of another Sonichu called Bundy Chu, as a tribute to the serial killer Ted Bundy. When Chris was told that the city of CWCville was gradually abandoning Christianity, she tried to enforce the religion. This backfired, as the citizens of her idyllic American city converted to Islam and atheism. Angelica Rosedew, the most devout member of the Chaotic Combo, converted to Satanism. By the end of January, many users of the Kiwifarms had noticed Chris's uncharacteristic behaviour over the past few months. Some found the manipulation of Chris to be uninteresting. So, in an attempt to remove the idea guy from power, he and his family were doxxed on the Kiwifarms. His true name was revealed to be Joshua Wise. Josh deleted his Facebook page, and many believed that the idea guy saga was at an end. But little did they know, it was just getting started.
Without crystals, computers wouldn't exist. I was with my father. He was a tall man. What better way to raise my own the word gay seems to be
On a bed and spank her.
Flamethrower!
at the bottom valve if the flame is too large.